The gentlelady from California, Mrs. Kim, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman Powell, thank you for being with us today. Gosh, you're under a lot of pressure from all sides to divert from our monetary policy goals. And I commend you for your leadership and staying focused on the core missions of the Fed, which are price stability and maximum employment. So thanks again for your leadership. And you have stated that it is the Fed's strong view that you will have to reopen the Basel III Endgame proposal for comment again. And I really urge FDIC and OCC moving forward with reopening the comment period. Chairman Powell, would broad support mean abandonment of any modified proposal that garners mostly negative public comments in a public comment period for the modified proposal?
Sorry, I didn't follow your question.
Would broad support mean abandonment of any modified proposal that garners mostly negative public comments in a public comment period for the modified proposal?
I mean, broad support empirically would mean, a good solid vote on the Fed board. And I've tried not to be specific about what that means, but it also means broad support among the broader community of commenters on all sides. That's what I meant by broad support.
Got it.
Yeah, that's what I meant by it.
Thank you. And as the Fed looks to enacting several changes to the proposal, I would also urge you not to overlook how the Basel Endgame proposal would disproportionately impact FBOs and regional banks and U.S. domestic jobs because of the way the outside operational risk is, weighted. So can we get your commitment to that?
So let me just say I'm not going to get into specifics. We're well aware of those concerns. We've obviously carefully digested all of the comments we've gotten from all different sectors, and those are concerns that we're well aware of.
Thank you. Let's switch gear to another matter. You have spoken for the need of transparency. Are there any conversations at the Fed to have more transparency and better engagement and consistency with stress tests?
So we have increased transparency in the stress tests over time, and I would say we do. If people want to write articles and make comments that are critical of the stress tests, we're going to read those and we're going to think about that. We're open to improving it. We know that the stress test has to evolve over time if it's to remain relevant, and I think transparency is one of those subjects where we're prepared to listen and think about ideas.
Definitely. I would like to see more stress test regime that is more transparent and adapted, identifying unforeseen risks. So we can achieve that by being more collaborative, I believe, yes. So I'm also interested to hear from you whether you and your fellow banking regulators have considered the cumulative impact of any new liquidity standards with the Basel III framework and the existing post-crisis liquidity requirements. So what industry engagement has the board staff held with respect to changes to the liquidity framework?
So we haven't actually made any proposals on that yet. Mm-hmm. We have had significant industry interaction on the proposals, and we will move, I think, at some time this year.
What about the board staff? Have they conducted any industry-wide data collection to study the necessity for and the impact of any changes to the existing liquidity framework?
I think we've done a lot of investigation on that front, but I think that this is the beginning of the process, not the end. We haven't published proposals yet. We're working on them, and it's a pretty early stage.
Thank you. Let me quickly talk about the inflation issue. We had a peak inflation rate of 9.1% in June 2022, and a lot has been talked about being a supply side issue and the demand shock from the opening economy. So can you elaborate how the expansion in the money supply and fiscal stimulus played a role in persistent inflation, and why is it so important to get to the 2% inflation rate goal right now?
So the inflation that arose here was a collision between very strong demand as the economy reopened. Remember that there had been fiscal transfers, we had rates very low. You know, those things were done because we thought we could be looking at a very, very bad economic time. As it turns out, the economy reopened and demand spiked very high. People had saved a lot of money because they couldn't spend. And so there was tremendous demand and there was constrained supply. And what you got was inflation. And you got that everywhere in the world. That's what happened. So what's happened to bring inflation down, we've made quite a lot of progress on inflation. To bring inflation down, the Fed has been working on, with restrictive policy, on cooling demand. That has been working. And the supply side has been healing. And the negative labor participation shock has essentially reversed, adjusted for. So
Ladies'
it's kind of working out as we had expected.
Ladies'
Thank you
time has
very much,
expired.
Chairman.